Hey, good morning. Good morning. I am hoping you guys are doing good. It's already Tuesday. I'm still trying to get back to my regular routine since this weekend. I was on local travel this weekend, and I'm still trying to get back. Yesterday I was running errands. Today I got a lot of things to do, but don't want to skip on devotion. So let's get started. All right, so the verse for today is Matthew 25, Matthew 25:40. And the king will reply to them, "Truly I tell you, in so far as you did it for one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it for me." And the king will reply, I'm going to repeat it again. And the king will reply to them, "Truly I tell you, insofar as you did it for one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it for me." Matthew 25, verse 40. All right, so the title of the devotion for today is "Whatever You Can Do is Worth Doing." Whatever you can do is worth doing. The devotion begins: when we look at the needs in the world today, they are staggering. You may be thinking, "Joyce, what can I do won't even make a dent in the problems we have in the world." I know how you feel because I once felt the same way. But if we all think that way, nobody will do anything. That's true. And nothing will change. Although our individual efforts may not solve the problems, together we can make a major difference. God won't hold us accountable for what we could not do, but He will hold us accountable for the things we could have done. Let me take a stop here. One of my personal philosophies is if if we all think the same way, there's no way we'll see the world we see here today. Like, if we all had the same fears, we felt the same level of hate, happiness, all the feelings. If we all had the same work ethic, quite frankly, we would not see what we see here, man. We would not be living in the world as we see it. I think we need to just do what we can do. It's worth doing. And if you feel like you can do it, do it. God wouldn't put it on you if He didn't want you to do it. The ripple effects of all the things that we do create the world we're in, creates relationships we have. Like, it's very important. I actually see where they're going in this devotion. This is pretty cool. Let's continue. A while back, I had returned from a trip to India and was at the gym when a woman I often see there asked me if I really believed that all the effort required for these trips was solving anything, since millions would still be starving, no matter how many we fed. It seems like they were doing some missionary work. And some lady was just essentially saying, "Hey, do you think this is all worth it? We come here, spend millions of dollars, resources. Is it worth it?" So she goes, "I shared with her what God placed in my heart, something that forever settled the issue for me. If you or I were hungry because we hadn't eaten in 3 days, and someone offered us one meal that would alleviate the pain in our stomachs for a day, would we take it and be glad to have it? Of course we would. And so are the people we help. We are able to set up ongoing programs for many of them, but there will always be those we can help only once or twice. Still, I know these outreaches are worth doing." That's important. I know a lot of people talk about community service, and it's kind of like if I have time. But I'm telling you, community service is so worth it. Like, helping people, doing things to alleviate people's problems, man. Like, it's such a thing, and you may not see like a direct impact, right? You may not get cash in your hand at that moment. You may not get like whatever it is that you think you should get from doing something. You may not get it, but I do know one thing. When you help other people, that is something God will want for us. And I think that enough for me is helpful. The other day I was sitting in the car with somebody, and someone who was homeless came to the windows asking for money. And it breaks my heart, like, every time I see someone asking for money, asking for food, it really does break my heart. If I could, man, I would give everybody money. I would give everybody food. I don't care about having all of this stuff and then people around me are not able to get it. Like, it's kind of a weird thing that there are people that don't see the benefit in my mind, right? Everybody has their time when they realize how important this stuff is, but when they realize that some people don't eat every day. There are people who don't eat every day. And so if you could help someone get one meal that they would not have, or help someone with some information that they would not have, and it make their life a little better, I'm all for it, man. Share the wealth, man. I have that as one of my mottos. You guys know I have a lot of mottos. Sharing is caring is one of them. All right, so the devotion continues. Has God planted an idea or a desire in your heart to help others in a specific way? Trust that whatever you can do is worth doing. I promise you that is true. Don't let the magnitude of the problem overwhelm you. God will show you what you can do. Trust him. When he says it makes a difference, it does. It makes a difference. Do what you can do. Prayer starter. Lord, I want to help others, and you know you will help me get started, and I know you will help me get started and understand that whatever I can do is worth doing. Amen. Yeah, man, this is about community service. Doing what you can do to help people. If God put it on your heart, man, I'm telling you, even if it's not for other people, there's things that God put in your heart for yourself. You ought to do it. You ought to do it. If God puts it on your heart, you ought to do it, man. I've had some discussions with people on all types of themes in life, right? Things that I was interested in. This YouTube, as I indicated, was one of the things that I was very interested in doing, but for many different reasons, right? So faith is one of them, food, fitness, finance, fashion, fun. I wanted to share. It's in my heart. Like, that's something I want to put out in the world. Do whatever you can do, because it's worth doing. And you ought to do the same, man. If there's someone you want to help, if there's some community service that you want to do, an organization you want to start, a 501c. Like, people call me because I'm a CPA. The people call me and say, hey, Nerly, I want to do this organization. And then that's why I actually had someone recently from my church reach out and ask me, like, hey, look, I'm doing this thing for kids or doing whatever. What do you think? I'll be really, really happy if you could join us and doing stuff. And if I could do it, I will. If it makes sense for me to do it in my life. If you can do it, it's worth doing. And I do want to emphasize if you can do it. Now, understand that we can't do all things, right? Like, we can't do it all. If you can't do it, I mean, you know what I mean? But if you can, figure out the nuances, the challenges. There's quick solutions. Pray for God to give you guidance, and do it if you can. If you can do it, it is definitely worth doing. I like this message. I like community, so that's what this was all about. Yeah. And let me read this verse again. The verse was, and the king will reply to them, truly I tell you, insofar as you did it for the one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it for me. If you could do it when you do something for someone, you essentially are doing it for God. You're doing it to God. Essentially, if you help someone, you feed someone, think about it like you feeding God. That's the message that I'm getting from the devotion. All right, I see the connection between the verse and the devotion. I've never in the past read the verses. I've pretty much read the verse within a devotion that I'm reading, depending on what the devotion is. But I'm starting to see the connection, and I think it's important for me to do that. I'm gonna start doing that more. Reading the daily devotion verse and then starting with the devotion. I think that works out pretty well. All right, folks, I'm gonna let you guys get on with your day. Help somebody, call somebody, do anything you can to be a better person. And I'm gonna do the same because it's a struggle. It's a struggle, but we gotta do it. All right, God bless.